Around the Pyrenees mountains, a great mass of people to the new king's aid, near the Garonne of the church Mas d'Asile. A Roman chief, fearful to wade in water. In the year 580, more or less, one awaits a very strange age. In the year 703, the heavens witness many realms. 1 to 5 make change. The river tests the newborn Celtic in great discord with the empire. The young prince, through the ecclesiastical people, removes the scepter of the crown of concord. The Celtic river changes course, no longer holding to the city of Agrippa. Everything changed except for the old language. Saturn in Leo, Cancer pillaged by Mars. So great a famine through pestilence, the rain extends towards the length of the Arctic pole. 100 leagues from the hemisphere, Samarobrin, living without law and politics. Not far from Cancer, towards the north, the bearded star appears. Susa, Siena, Beotia, Eritrea. Rome's great one dies the night it disappears. Norway and Sweden and the British Isles, vexed by brothers allied, the Roman chief of French lineage, and the forces beaten back to the forests. At the change of a king, those esteemed for their knowledge become impoverished, some exiled, poor and unsupported. Learning and learned not much valued. Scandals in the holy churches, thought of as honors praised, one of whom they engraved medals. A very strange and tormented end. Two extreme colors of black and white merged for a short time within the church, red and yellow ones taking away their colors. Blood, earth, plague, famine, fire, water destroys. 7 branches reduced to 3, the elder ones surprised by death. 2 seduced by fratricide. Asleep, conspirators killed. To raise forces to ascend unto the empire, in the Vatican the royal blood holds. Flemings, English, Spain with Aspire, against Italy and France contend. A doubtful one not far from the realm. The greater part wants to sustain him. A capital does not want him to reign. His great chair is not maintained. Far from his country, a king loses the battle. At once escaped, pursued, subsequently captured, ignorantly taken under the gilded coat of mail. In disguise, the enemy surprised. A prince found under the tomb, prized above Nuremberg. The Spanish king within, Capricorn thin, deceived and betrayed by the great Wittenberg. That which is carried off by the young hawk, by the Normans of France and Picardy, the black ones of the Temple of the Black Forest Place, make an inn and fire of Lombardy. After the books, they burn the accused. They are made to change into diverse clothes. The Saturnians burned by the millers, except the greater part that is not to be discovered. The great king, forsaken by the physicians, by fate, not by Hebrew's art, his life is saved. He and his kin rising high in the realm, grace given to the nation that desires Christ. The true flame engulfs the lady who wants to burn the innocent ones. Before the assault, the army is encouraged. When in Seville, a monster like a bull is seen. The sacred union does not last long. Some are changed, for the most part reformed. In the vessels, a people endure. Then Rome has a new leopard. When those of the Arctic pole are united together, in the east there is great fear and terror. Newly elected, the great church supported, Rhodes, Byzance, stained with barbarian blood. Within the land of the great Church of God, a nephew at London, by a feigned peace, is murdered. The bark split asunder, a sham liberty proclaimed everywhere. Currency depreciated by the spirit of the realm, people rising up against their king, peace made, novelties, holy laws become worse. Rapis was never in such great disorder. Mars and the scepter conjoining under Cancer, a calamitous war. A short time afterwards, a new king anointed, one who for a long time shall pacify the earth. By Mars opposed, the monarchy of the great fisherman shall be brought into ruinous trouble. A young black, red takes over the hierarchy. The traitors act on a misty day. For 4 years, the seat he keeps good enough. Then one libidinous in life succeeds to it. Ravenna and Pisa, Verona, giving support, longing to elevate the papal cross. Within the isles of 5 rivers to one, by the crescent of the great Shirene Céline, through the misty air, the fury of one, 6 escape, hidden in bundles of flax. The mighty Celt enters into Rome, leading a mass of exiled and banished. The great pastor put to death every man who was united for the cock near the Alps. The holy widow is perplexed and troubled, hearing news of her offspring. One skillful is instructed to appease the quarrels. By his purchase, make a heap of shaven heads. Through the appearance of false sanctity, the seat is betrayed to the enemies. At night, when in sleep to safely trust, marching near Brabant, those of Liège. The king finds that which he most desires. When the prelate is recaptured by mistake, the response to the duke displeases him. Many in Milan put to death. Beaten to death by rods for treason, the prince overwhelmed by disorder. Frivolous counsel to the great captive. When in fury quarrels Belgium. His last hand bloody through Alus, fails to protect himself by sea. Between two rivers, he fears the military hand. The black and irate one making him repent it. The machine of flying fire troubles the great besieged captain. Within there is such sedition that to dissolute ones all hope is lost. Near the white wool and near Orion, Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Mars, Jupiter, the sun ignites the great plain, woods and cities. Letters sealed in candle wax. Neither good nor evil through terrestrial battle, extending to the borders of Perugia, Pisa rebelling, Florence see evil being. A king wounded at night upon his darkened mule. The ancient work accomplished, evil ruin fall upon the great one from the roof. Innocent accused of the mortal deed, the guilty hiding in a misty copse. Enemies of peace, the profligates, after overcoming Italy, the bloodthirsty black one, red commits, fire, bloodshed, water colored by blood. The child of the kingdom, through his father's imprisonment, deprived of delivering his father. Near the lake of Trasimene, the azure taken, too drunk, the troop captured. To quench the great thirst for the great one of Mainz, he is deprived of his great dignity. Those of Cologne complaining so much that the whole group is thrown into the Rhine. The second chief of the realm of Arnemark, through those of Frise and of the British island, spend more than 100,000 mark vainly exploiting a journey to Italy. To Ogmios the realm is left, the great Selene in fact doing more, extending his empire throughout Italy, governing by a prudent craftiness. Where Seine and Marne waters flow, for a long time remains uninhabited, tried by English hosts, the guards deceived in thinking them repulsed. At night, a rainbow, by marine arts sustained, in the Gulf of Arabia a great fleet sunk. In Saxony, a monster born of a bear and a sow. The well-learned governor of the realm does not consent to the king's will. Melila's fleet sets out against the wind, delivered into hands most disloyal. A just one sent into exile, pestilence to the borders of Norsaigle, banished for his answer to the Red One. The king retreats to the Frog and the Eagle. Between two mountains, the two great ones in duty meet, setting aside their secret animosity. Bruxelles and Dole, overwhelmed by Langres, inflicting their plague at Maligne. Sanctity too false and seductive, accompanied with an eloquence of tongue. The old city and Parma too hasty, Florence and Siena rendered uninhabited. The great pontiff party of war, subjugating Danube's frontiers, pursuing the cross by crooked iron, captives, gold, jewels, more than 100,000 rubies. Found the bones inside the well. Incestuous stepmother. The state transferred, seeking renown and praise. Having Mars as ascending star. People gathering to see new spectacle, princes and kings amongst them too. Falling pillars and walls, the king saved, and 30 onlookers, as if by a miracle. Outside the prison, his friend takes the place of the great one condemned. The Trojan hope, 6 months joined, stillborn. The sun in Aquarius, rivers frozen. The great Celtic prelate, suspected by his king, hastily at night leaves the kingdom. By a duke, fruitful serving his great British king. Byzantium and Tunis unsuspected. At break of day, the second crowing of the cock, those of Tunis, of Fez, and of Bougie, by the Arabs, the king of Morocco is captured. The year 1607 of the liturgy. The Duke relaxing, pulls up a sponge. Suddenly discovers Arabian sails, Tripolis, Chios, and those of Trebizond, Duke taken, the Black Sea, and the city deserted. Feared army of enemy Narbonne, terrifying Westerners, Perpignan left empty by the blind one of Arbon, Barcelona attacks by sea. The one well advanced in the realm has a cardinal close within the hierarchy, harsh, cruel, and feared. To the sacred monarchy he succeeds. Between two distant monarchs, the sun's clarity is lost through Selene. Great dispute between the two indignant ones. That liberty is restored to the Isles and Siena. The lady, furious by the adultery, conspiring with her prince not to say, soon the blame made known. That 17 become martyrs. Prince out of his Celtic land is betrayed, deceived by an interpreter. Rouen, Rochelle, through those of Armorique. At the port of Blois, deceived by a monk and a priest. The great tapestry, folded, not showing, except the greatest parts of the history. Chased out of the realm, fierce he grows, that everyone fears this warrior. Too late, both the flowers lost. Against the law, the serpent wants not to act. Forces of leaguers confounded by the French. Savone, Albingue, through monarch, great martyrdom. The lady left to reign alone, the unique one first in the bed of honor, extinguished, weeping for 7 years with grief, then long reigning in good fortune. No agreement kept, all those acting with deceit of peace and truce, land and sea protest. By Barcelona, a fleet seized with ingenuity. Half-opened war between grey and brown, assailed at night, pillaged, the brown captured and imprisoned, his church opened, two in plaster behind the grate. At the foundation of the new sect, the bones of the great Roman found. The sepulchre appears marble-covered. In April earthquake, poorly buried. One quite different to Empire attains, remote from kindness, more so happiness. One ruling not long issued from the brothel. Realms decaying to great misery. Soldiers in a seditious fury against their chief flash steel by night. The enemy of Alba acts with furious hand, vexing Rome and deceiving the principal ones. The great pity is manifesting. Those who gave are constrained to take, naked, starving, cold, and thirst, to mutiny, crossing over mountains, committing great scandals. Great Tyranny, chief of the world, feared, dreaded, moreover, beloved afterwards. His fame and praise shall go beyond the heavens, and with the sole title of victor shall be greatly pleased. They are giving the last rites to the great king. A day before, he has entirely given up the ghost. He who is grieving over him the least shall eagles, lions, crosses, and crown sell. Divine emotion, fury, feigned, the great one's wife violated, judges willing to condemn such belief, to the mob a victim. In the great city, a monk and artisan dwelling near the gate and walls, plotting against Modena, speaking secretly, treason plotted under the guise of marriage. The expelled one returns to the kingdom. Our enemies revealed as conspirators. Our time triumphant more than ever. 73 to death assured. The great pilot, summoned for by the king to leave his fleet for a higher post. 7 years later, in revolt, Venice fearing the barbarian army. The ancient city forged by Antenor, no longer able to support the tyrant. In church, the false one-armed one to cut a throat. The people putting his followers to death. Victory by fraudulent deception. 2 fleets won. Rebellion in Germany. Chief and son murdered in that tent. Florence, Imola, fleeing into Romagna. Victorious cries of the great Selene crescent. By the Romans the eagle is proclaimed. Tichin, Milan, and Genoa not consenting, themselves naming the great king. Near the Ticino, the people of the Loire, Garonne, and Saône, Seine, Thun, and Gironde, erecting a promontory beyond the mountains, fighting. Po passed over, some drowning in it. The kingdom of Fez, spreading to those of Europe, steel and fire destroying their cities. The great one of Asia, with great troop by land and sea, that blues, greens, crosses to death he drives. Tears, cries, and laments, howls fear, an inhuman heart, cruel, black, and cold. Leman, the islands of Genoa, the notables, spilling blood, hunger for bread, no mercy shown. Through deserted regions of the free and wild place, the nephew of the great pontiff shall come to wander, felled by 7 with a heavy club, by those who after seize the chalice. He who that has so many honors and caresses enters into Belgian Gaul, soon committing much rudeness and acting warlike against the flower. The lame one who cannot reign in Sparta does much by means seductive, arraigned by the court to explain his perspective against the king. Frenchmen destroying the great city of Tars, capturing all the turban ones. Relieved by sea from the great Portuguese, sent urbans when summer starts. The great prelate, the day after, is badly interpreting the meaning of his dream. A monk coming from Gascony to intervene? That elected is the Grand Prelate of Sens. The election made in Frankfurt is annulled. Milan opposes it. Driven out to the marshes beyond the Rhine. He of the Milan party that appeared so strong. A great kingdom left desolate, near to the Ebra assembling. The Pyrenees mountains comfort him. Earthquakes in May. Feet and hands bound between 2 boats, face anointed with honey and sustained with milk, wasps and flies, paternal love vexed, cup-bearer to falsify, chalice tried. The stinking, abominable disgrace is congratulated after the deed, the great one excused for not being favorable. That peace is not encouraged by Neptune. The commander of the naval war, red, rash, severe, violent border, captive escapes from the elder one, when son Agrippa is born to the great one. Prince of beauty, full of grace, brought to the general, the second time betrayed, the city put to the sword, face burnt by powder. Too much murder, the king's commander hated. An avaricious prelate deceived by ambition does nothing of himself too great. He and his messengers trapped. He who cuts the wood sees all differently. A king angered against the treaty breakers when arms of war are forbidden. The poison tainted with sugar for the strawberries. Drowning them, they'll shout, "Land, land!" The youngest son defamed by a slanderer when extreme war engaged. The least part doubtful for the elder one. Soon, both are equal in the kingdom. The great city, abandoned to the soldiers, never was a mortal tumult so near. Oh, what a hideous calamity approaches. Accepting one offense, nothing pardoned. Fire approaching the great new city. Instantly a great scattered flame bursts out. At 45 degrees the sky burns. When about wanting the Normans to prove. Ruin for the Volskis of fear so terrible. Their great city stained, pestilent deed. Plunder sun and moon and violating their churches. And the two rivers red with running blood. Confused, the erudite enemy about turn. Defeated by ambushes, the great army weakening. The Pyrenees mountains refused Poenos, the ancient urns discovering near the river. Daughter of the Abra, sanctuary of the sick, where even heaven himself is seen in the amphitheater. A wonder scene. Your wrong is near. Taken captive more than 4 times.